Let me see here. All right, that should be better now. Okay, well, we completely screwed the pooch on that one. But this should be much better now. Everyone should be able to hear me now. Please reply and let me know if you can hear. You'll know in about 10 seconds.
Okay.
So,
All right. So
I wondered why our numbers were so far down. Now
yeah,
we should post something that says PTR Radio Live, now with sound.
okay. We got sound. Okay.
All right, good.
So, as we were saying, about there's 400 people, and everybody's like, "Oh." So my point was that you protest to shut the circus down because of inhumane treatment of the animals, and
Yeah.
I get the protest. I get you don't want inhumane treatment, but to push so far as to shut the whole show down, did anybody think past that? And I don't think anybody did. So my first line of thought was, did anybody think about what happens to all the other performers? Oh, well, they could go get jobs elsewhere. Where? Cirque du Soleil?
Yeah.
I think Cirque du Soleil already has their shows stacked, and they're. Oh, well, Cirque du Soleil has been doing shows without animals for years. Yes, they started without animals. Their show wasn't built around animals.
It's a completely different show that they do. I mean, it's apples and oranges between the two.
Cirque du Soleil is not really a circus, okay? It's theater. Call it what it is. It's theater. So, all right. So that line of thinking is an issue, and the parent company, which also runs Monster Jam, some kind of Supercross, Disney on Ice, and Avengers Live, Marvel's Avengers Live, has said that they're going to provide support for these people to help them find other jobs and housing and all of that. Okay. Greg's asking, what's the bearded lady supposed to do now? Become a spokesman for Dollar Shave Club. I don't know.
Dollar Beard Club.
Or Dollar Beard Club. There you go. So that was part one. Part two was where you want to shut this down. What are you going to do with the animals? Did anybody think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole relocation effort that has to go into play there as well,
Well, yes. They'll go to a sanctuary. Who's going to pay for that?
Yeah, it's not free.
Well, and here's the funny part. Guess where the elephants are going?
They're going back to Africa?
The elephants are going to an elephant sanctuary. Guess who owns and operates the elephant sanctuary?
Oh, Ringling Brothers?
Yep. Guess what funded the elephant sanctuary?
Oh, I'm sure the circus did.
So, all y'all who are claiming this is a victory for the animals, now what? I get it. The original sin was that the animals should not have been in the circus. I get that. I am not arguing that. But they were there. Can't release them back into the wild. Yes, they hate zoos, they hate zoos. They don't hate sanctuaries. The whole idea here is animals should not be used for our entertainment. So
does that mean that we shut down local zoos and we shut down, SeaWorld? I know that's a hot topic.
We can talk about that one too.
Else?
See, yeah, well, they want to shut down SeaWorld as well, right? And we can also say that SeaWorld stopped the orca shows. They are no longer breeding in captivity. They are no longer bringing killer whales into captivity. Tilikum passed away since our last show.
Yeah.
And Tilikum was the orca featured in the movie Blackfish, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend going to see it or renting it or finding it and watching it. It is a very eye-opening film. If for nothing else, to give you the details of what happened, of how Tilikum came into SeaWorld's possession and the events that basically earned him the reputation of a legitimate killer whale.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
there are a lot of
Yeah.
different things.
So then I make my comments, ironically on Harambe's page. Make my comments and I say, well, you know, then you get the people, oh well, I volunteer at an animal sanctuary and I'm studying to be a vet. What do you do? Okay.
Yeah,
Do you want to go down that
I
rabbit
don't think
hole?
they want to try and play top trumps with you.
No. Well, that's exactly what I said. I said, well, I volunteer in animal rescue, and I prefer to donate and volunteer locally so I can actually see what's happening, unlike the people who think that, because Sarah McLaughlin asked you to send $5 a month to the Humane Society that you're actually saving anybody.
Yeah.
You're not.
All you're doing is ruining a perfectly good song. But
So,
yeah,
but it makes I was trying to prove a bigger point that the attitude lately is just running rampant that it's tunnel vision, right? The generation that's coming up now, that need their safe zones and what have you. I don't want to say liberals, but draw your own conclusions. That generation that thinks they know it all because Bernie Sanders told them, they don't think about the consequences of their actions
yeah.
because somebody's always been there to clean it up.
I mean, sometimes you think you're doing something for the greater good, but if you don't analyze all the ramifications of what you're doing, then it doesn't really make sense. You're missing the forest for the trees, basically, is what you're doing.
And then you get the person like, oh well, I see you complain. What would you have us done? I said, well, realistically, the idea would have been, don't bring any new animals into the show. Work with us so that we can make sure that the animals are treated humanely, for the rest of their time.
Yeah.
And, set a date when the animals will be excluded from the show. Don't organize a boycott of the show.
No, because then you're just hurting.
Try and work with the parent company.
Yeah.
And I admitted that maybe Ringling Brothers wasn't open to any of that. It works both ways. Both sides have to come to the table, but at the same time, mommy and daddy aren't going to fix this mess that you created.
No.
Somebody then tried to compare it to the auto industry, like, oh well, if it's not profitable, places close all the time. I live in Detroit and I saw everything happen. What's the difference here? I said, I'm pretty sure people didn't organize protests out telling Ford to shut down or telling people not to buy Fords.
No, but on that same kind of thing, everyone is saying that we need to get off fossil fuels and all these other things, and but they're not coming at us with any practical solutions to it, any practical alternatives. All right, so
I do agree. Everybody's like,
you should do electric cars. Everybody should have an electric car. Okay, great. That electricity's got to come from somewhere. Guess what? In my town,
solar
it's coming from the coal plant down the street.
Yes, and solar is not there yet.
No,
I'm sorry, it's not.
No, it's not. And so then your real only choices are, okay, if you don't want to do coal, then your nuclear.
Oh my god, Fukushima Daiichi.
Yeah.
Could happen here at 3 Mile Island.
Yeah, which is not the same, but nobody wants a nuclear power plant in their backyard either.
I would be perfectly happy with a small nuclear power plant in my backyard if it.
Well, a couple years ago, Newegg, or not Newegg, ThinkGeek. Let me see if I can find it here. Home nuclear.
Mr. Fusion?
Power generator. April Fools. They did a. Where the hell is it? Oh, there it is. The mini nuke. See here if I can find it here. Yeah, there we go. So this is super portable, generates 50 years worth of power, and is a 6x6 cube. They ThinkGeek had this advertisement for this portable power personal nuclear power plant. It was their April Fool's Day joke. And,
Okay.
there was a lot of things that they turned their April Fool's Day jokes into real products, like the 8-bit tie and stuff, and the communicator, Bluetooth. They make those. They couldn't make this as much as all the people that really wanted this. But there were a ton of people. And there are still conspiracy theory people out there that think that this device actually exists, but that the government said, no, you can't manufacture this.
Okay, let's just talk about conspiracy theories for a minute.
Yeah.
If you can point solar here in Jersey, is actually on the books that you are not allowed to build a solar system, a residential solar system, to provide more than your actual consumption of electricity.
So that you can't sell it back to the market.
They limit it. You can only build a system to up to 70% of your consumption. This is to prevent you from becoming a quote-unquote independent power utility company.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you could do 100%, then all you'd have to do is cut back your usage, and you're making money from the power company because you're selling it back. Which
there are some states where you
some
can
states
sell
it's
your
legal.
surplus
Yes.
energy.
Yes. Now, the conspiracy theorists look at that and say, government mandates that to keep because the power companies lobbied and made sure.
Now, we're not going to say there's not a smidgen of truth there.
Power companies do lobby, yes.
They do hold some of the biggest super PACs around.
However, stop for a second. If you have enough property that you could put up a solar field that will provide more than your energy consumption, and you can afford to pay that cost up front, then you probably have an accountant that will tell you that the energy taxes, the tax you would have to pay on that income, because you are selling a utility, you're selling electricity. It's not like you're paying 7% sales tax. No. You also need all kinds of environmental regulation, or EPA inspections, regulations, zoning, etc.
Yeah.
It's not. Is it a conspiracy? Perhaps, but not nearly to the extent that you are making it out to be. But a conspiracy theorist in their mind will always look for that one little chink in the armor.
Oh, yeah.
Try and figure out how they can turn the molehill into a mountain.
Oh, they'll find the smallest piece of truth and then apply that to the entire argument. So, yeah,
but
I don't disagree.
Now, at the same time, I'm a conspiracy theorist about vaping. That big tobacco but I've also seen all of the proof that back it up. As far as the states with the tobacco settlement, and if cigarette sales go down, the states actually have a budget deficit because they counted on the money that was coming in.
Some of the most ridiculous thing in the world is let's balance our budget on the thing that we want people to stop doing.
Well, no. In the case of New Jersey, they took out bonds to the anticipated amount. So it wasn't that they were waiting, or they were counting on this money every year. They took out bonds, so now they got to pay back the bonds.
Ah, okay. Oh, I completely forgot to do something. And I did it just for the show. Now, we have had a problem in the studio with lighting sometimes. Mike, I think you'll notice that what you see from me is kind of a little bit dark.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't translate to what the people on the website see. They see a nice, clean image because of the camera that I'm using for that. But occasionally we will have some light issues. Now, I believe, remedied this problem by taking apart some of my DJ equipment, my old DJ equipment. All right. I used to have a bunch of Parcan lights. All right, the kinds
Okay.
that just do red, green, blue, yellow, on the dance floor. I had a bunch of those, and I thought, I could just take one or two of those and turn those into basically spotlights for the studio. Now, the downside was that those lights have 100-watt floodlight bulbs in them, regular incandescent bulbs. And I thought,
That's
one,
that's heat.
it's hot. Two, that's another 200 watts that the studio would be pulling, and we could trip a breaker. So, I converted the lamps to LED,
Okay.
which shocked my wife, the sticker price of what floodlight bulb LEDs were going to cost, because they run $20 a light bulb. It's a tad bit expensive. But I have now mounted one on each Colin and myself across the room.
Oh boy.
So give me 1 second.
All right. Hi, Mom. Oh, when Shaggy disappears. It's awesome.
So now we have much more light in the studio.
Nope. No good.
No good?
Well, not for my sake, because you got a shadow right across the whole side of your face. Let's see when you come back. Hold on.
Colin is supposed to be sitting right here, and normally you're looking at the whole view, so you wouldn't have a shadow. But
Nope. The whole right side of your face on cam is.
well, that's because
You got the.
yeah. But
You got the scissor. No. I'm sorry. Okay, your left side.
yes,
Your left
this
side. My right. That side.
Yes.
You got the shadow of the scissor arm.
Yeah. So, but this is much better lighting for the stream, and so there is.
I'm looking at the stream.
Okay.
I'm looking at the stream when I'm telling you about what I'm seeing.
Yeah. So there could be some tweaking that needs to happen. I'm not going to argue there's some tweaking that needs to happen,
Okay.
but still better than what it was before. I think, maybe. Who knows? But it was
Perhaps.
But
Honestly, on the stream, I don't think much changed now that other than
not,
that shadow,
because
that camera auto adjusts.
and it's good enough to do a good job. So that one I'm not terribly worried about. It's the other
The work in progress.
Yeah. So it's we always talk about the studio changes and how we can make things better, and that's just one example.
He's gone again. He's going to turn it off. Probably.
No, I was just gonna leave.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
Whatever.
No. So anyway, just another thing I forgot to mention.
You're not scaring me.
So all right. So we talked about Ringling Brothers. You know what they talked about? One of the things in Ringling Brothers was some of the people lived on the train. I was interested to learn that. I did not know that.
Those are the ones that are going to be getting residential assistance.
Now, something else that I didn't know, I found this on Harper's Bazaar, interestingly enough. I don't go to that website very often. So it was fun to see that they actually had some interesting an interesting article. I will send you the link. Harper's Bazaar did an article about traveling the country and finding some of the most beautiful places in the U.S. and that it doesn't have to cost a fortune to do. Now, I have taken a couple of fairly lengthy train rides. Mike, have you ever been on, a decent-sized train ride?
No. The only time I've ever ridden a train was from here to New York City.
All right.
Which is a half-hour ride at most.
So seeing the country via Amtrak can be very interesting. Especially you get on the nice double-deckers. We've got the observation lounge. And in my mind, it is a little bit better than driving sometimes if you have the time to do it. Because obviously you want to lay down and take a nap, you do that. You want to, kick back and drink a beer, you can do that. All kinds of things. You can't do those in a car. All right. not safely. So this guy went on a road trip, which included the California Zephyr, which actually comes through Springfield, and the Lakeshore Limited for a little over $200. That's for a one-way ticket. And it was a 15-day rail pass is what he got so that he could spend some time in each of the cities as he passed along the way. And he charted out the best path to go through this country via rail to see beautiful sights. So if you have the time, he actually shows his entire trip going across the U.S. for just $213. And then he also has a couple of suggested trips for people if you're looking to take this type of trip yourself. So, I mean, it's pretty nifty to see how this guy decided to see the country and not spend a whole lot of money. So, Mike, do you think this is going to be your next vacation? Traveling like a hobo on the rail?
You know what? Honestly, it's something I would do.
You know?
Interesting.
I mean, the nice idea is, with this rail pass, you can just, hey, you know what? I want to hang out for a while in Memphis. All right, I'm just going to hop off the train. I'm going to, grab a hotel room for a day or two, see the sights, and then I'll hop back on the train and I'll keep going again. I mean, interesting way to see the country, and Amtrak loves it because it's reinvigorating their industry, because you can't say that there's been a whole lot of movement other than what they call supposedly high-speed rail projects, which aren't really high-speed, in the U.S. Amtrak doesn't get a whole lot of publicity.
No, they really don't.
And like I said, I went several times between here and New Mexico, and it was a nice trip. Now, don't get me wrong, you see some slums along the way, because the train tracks usually don't go through the best parts of all the towns. All right, but there's some pretty scenery along the way in between the towns that you can see.
I'm just amazed at how much this actually costs. Like, I'm looking at the route, and wow.
Yeah, so he started in New Jersey, through New York, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska.
You know, I hate to say it,
Colorado,
if it wasn't
Denver,
California,
California.
wasn't a 15-day trip, I would have considered doing that as like an awesome bachelor party.
Well, that would also, think about it. If you think about a graduation, you get out of high school and you some people want to backpack Europe or whatever. I want to be a hobo on a train. Why go to Europe?
Hobo.
No, I want to eat beans out of a can.
Now you're just being stupid, because I scrolled through a couple pages of his blog there. I got all the way to I got to halfway across the country, and some of the food he was eating looked pretty damn good, especially considering it was cooked on a train.
Yeah. Oh no, some of the dining cars are pretty nice in there, and you meet some interesting people.
Well, that's what he said. Just glossing over it, it said, and we'll put a link to this up on the Facebook page so you guys can see if anybody wants to do this trip. Maybe that'll be our PTR road trip cross country.
Well, PTR by train. That would be fun. If you started the trip, you would come right through here.
You know what? I'm suddenly thinking maybe we could do half this and get Amtrak to sponsor.
Ooh, would be interesting. Well, I guess this one only goes through Chicago, but I'm sure that we could that Colin and I could meet you up in Chicago. Actually, if Colin and I come out to visit you, maybe we'll take the train.
Okay.
I mean,
because I'm sure it goes into Penn Station or Grand Central.
Yeah.
In New York. I'm not sure which one, but either one. From Grand Central, you could take a cab and see New York, and then get into New York Penn Station,
mm-hmm.
and then it's a 20-minute New Jersey Transit hop to the station that's right, less than a mile from my house. But okay, Gail writing in saying to sign her up for the train trip. So Colin may have to start planning this out for us.
Yeah. 3,400 miles. This is what this whole trip is.
By train.
I think it would be. Now, I will tell you this. When you get off of a train, you don't feel like you're off the train.
It's just like a boat.
For the next half day, you're still swaying back and forth because you've learned to adapt to the train.
Oh, well, it's just like being on a boat.
Yeah.
You get your sea legs when you get back on land.
So, but I think this could be something fun to do. All right. With that said, it's probably time for us to take a quick break.
So when we get back, we have a quick death pool update.
Yes, we do.
And talk about. Glad Gail's tuned. Well, Gail may be tuned in. I don't know. But we could talk about this British show that Colin asked us to watch.
Yeah, this week since we didn't have Colin, we decided to do a couple of TV show reviews. You know, so we'll see how that goes. Let me see.
Well, one of them is not actually a TV show; it's a Netflix.
Right. Well, same difference
original
for us, yeah. But
but
yep. Just trying to get what we need here for break, which is not always easy.
no, there's something else that popped into my head that I wanted to. But yeah, it's actually the thought crossed my mind. It's funny that we started talking about trains because the thought crossed my mind today that I suddenly, at some point today, it crossed my mind while I was arguing with these animal rights wannabe people that I really am turning into a version of Sheldon Cooper without the brilliance.
Okay.
Not saying I'm an idiot, but I'm not. I'm not a doctor of physics like Sheldon. I'm not brilliant, but I'm starting to hate social situations the same way that Sheldon does.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to understand his character a lot more. To the point where I relate to his character. I have empathy for his character.
Yeah, I mean...
And Sheldon loves trains.
He does love trains. He does love trains. So, all right, when we come back, we're going to talk more about the TV shows that we got to review tonight. I also want to talk about A Bridesmaid Gone Bad. And then we'll also get into a little bit of Samsung Galaxy news. Because I am really anticipating that phone coming out. So, you're listening to PTR Radio. We'll be back in just a few. Everyone, please stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, and drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you.
I tutor kids.
I clear trails.
I help communities respond when disasters hit.
How do you spend your time?
In AmeriCorps, you can spend it giving back. Choose how, when, and where you serve. Receive living expenses, money for school, and skills to last a lifetime. Visit AmeriCorps.org to apply online for opportunities nationwide.
I help kids stay on the right track and out of trouble.
It's your world. It's your chance to make it better.
Visit AmeriCorps.org or call 800-942-2677.
Oh, I can't believe that just
I
happened.
cannot believe that just happened.
This was going to be our thing.
What are you
We made a
doing?
pact. You watched ahead.
No? Okay, I watched it on my way to work, caught some episodes at my desk, and I started season 2 while you were sleeping.
Season 2?
Netflix, TV shows and movies at your command for $8 a month. But please, watch responsibly.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real man of genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Next Day Carpet Installer,
Mr. Next Day Carpet Installer.
because when we're jonesing for carpet, we're jonesing for it right now.
Totally jonesing.
Thanks to you, we have absolutely no problem buying carpet over the phone, sight unseen.
Just pick up the phone.
A near miracle, an entire basement of wall-to-wall shag in less time than it takes to order a pizza.
I like pepperoni.
Your motto, if you're a payin', I'm a layin'.
Oh, yeah.
So crack open an ice-cold Bud Light, king of the carpet men. You not only go the distance for us, you do it wearing knee pads.
Mr. Next Day Carpet
Here are your hosts.
Your hosts
for this evening: Shaggy,
Funny. Ha ha. Not funny.
Colin,
It's going rogue left and right, man.
and Mike, the Ape Man.
Oh my goodness gracious.
PTR Radio.
You ready to kick ass?
Hey everybody, PTR Radio back with you, hour number 2 of the show. Mike, what you drinking?
I am trying a limited release cappuccino oatmeal stout from Blue Moon, aka Coors.
Yes. I'm just sticking with water. I drank whiskey last night, so water tonight.
Actually, not bad. It's not as heavy as a typical stout, but it is Blue Moon, so I mean,
Yeah.
Coors Senior.
All right, before we get into those things I want to talk about, one thing I want to ask Mike. Mike, what reasons can you think of for being woken up at 11:30 at night?
Family emergency.
Yep, that's what it was. Now I want to preface this by saying that we don't really, myself, my parents, my sister, we don't really talk to my dad's side of the family much, if at all. In fact, I think if I worked it back right, the last time that we talked to that family, the most recent time that we talked to that family, was 15 years ago.
Okay.
That's been a while. All right. So last night, I get a call at 11:30 at night, and it is my aunt on my dad's side saying that she is in the hospital in the ER, and could I come and take care of her son? Now,
Hey.
little bit of background here is she has a developmentally challenged adopted son. Okay? Now, I hadn't seen this kid in as long as I hadn't talked to her. All right?
Okay.
So, it was an interesting scenario where I felt like I needed to say, yep, sure, I'll be right there, because in my mind, I was her last choice. I was probably her only choice.
Now, may I ask how far away this hospital is?
It's 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, so it's not like a 45-minute hour drive where you spend the whole time like,
No,
I get stuck there.
no.
Why? Okay.
No, and so I woke up my dad, And I said, all right, your sister's in the hospital. I'm headed there. Do you want to come along? And he, he came along. They have this really weird relationship right now. It's not the best in the world, and I was actually kind of hoping that this would fix it a little bit. Because out of bad things, good things come every once in a while. And so it worked out where she didn't have to go for surgery, because the thing was that she was calling me because they thought that they were going to have to take her in for emergency surgery. And if that was the case, then they needed an adult to be able to basically take temporary guardianship of this kid.
Okay.
Now, when I say kid, he is 17. All right, but I think he had the mental capacity somewhere between 8 and 10, I'm guessing, from my limited interaction with him last night. Now, they ended up not taking her into surgery, and so he stayed with her at the hospital rather than going with basically strangers, last night. But in doing so, she reminded me and asked me, because long time ago, I had told her, well, she had asked me, and I had said yes, that if anything happened to her, would I take care of the kid? Again, I'm a nice guy with sometimes sucker plastered across the front. In this case, it's family, and you do weird things for family. Things you wouldn't normally do. And so she brought that up and said, hey, a lot's probably changed. I want to make sure that if you're still interested in this, because there's some things that have to be done because he's turning 18 now. And so, I'm like, yeah, that was a long time ago. Let me think about it for a little bit, and I'll talk to you more about it when you get better. Because right now we just need to concentrate on you getting better, not this stuff. And so I came home and talked to the wife about it and decided, yes, I gave my word once, and if she had anybody else to turn to, she probably wouldn't be turning to me. So, I will continue to do what I said I would do, and, whatever that all involves. So, now that doesn't mean that the kid's going to come here and live with me. That wasn't her intention. She told me actually the other night that the intention is that if anything happens to her, he would go into a group home, but that it would be up to me to make sure that he was well taken care of, and then from the financial aspect of things, for me to manage his money. Because some of them around here have a very poor reputation, and I'm sure that's not just a problem here, it's a problem nationally.
Yeah.
So, not that I really know this kid, but, nobody deserves to have themselves taken advantage of.
Agreed.
So like I said, again, you do things for family you wouldn't, do for a stranger necessarily. Of course, would the world be better off if we did these things for strangers? Possibly. So that was my midnight call, my 11:30 call last night that ended up getting home at a little after 1, and dealing with that. And then again today. So I think that's going to be a recurring thing for the next at least few weeks of how that all is evolving. But, so if you guys are out there and you're dealing with this, I'm sure we've probably got some listeners that are in the same boat where they don't think they have anybody to turn to. I'm not saying turn to me. All right. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm sure there is someone out there that you can turn to, even if you think as unlikely as they are, that they would be willing to do it. So don't despair. I know that the way I told my dad was because I know this woman has had a lot of bad things happen to her. And, some of it's her doing, some of it's just life. And I said, you know what? You can't let someone get beat down all the time. You can't let just the darkness come in time and time and time and time again. Every once in a while, a person deserves a break. They deserve for something to go their way.
Right.
Because otherwise, it's just too depressing to deal with. And you'll end up, like Mike, you probably saw this headline, the 12-year-old that live streamed her own suicide.
I
You probably
cannot-
purposefully ignored it, like I did, because there was no way I was going to watch the video.
Oh no! I was not. I found myself clicking to read the story, and I clicked the link that appeared. It may have been to the video, or that it was a site that was showing the video, and I just shut my browser.
Yeah.
I did not want to see it.
Yeah, I do not want to see the video either. That is not something that I'm interested in. If you are someone who likes the Faces of Death series, then maybe then that would be the only explanation for you wanting to see that, because I can't imagine why you would want to see that at all.
Okay. Full disclosure, I watched Faces of Death when I was a kid because it was for the same reason that most kids do stuff. It's because your parents told you not to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then years later, I found out that 90% of the footage was fake. So I don't feel so bad about that now.
Yeah.
But still wonder about the 10% that wasn't.
Yeah. So.
But listen,
the story,
all seriousness,
the story
yeah,
though is sad.
Obviously,
regardless of obviously there's an outstanding issue of whether what she said actually happened or not. And everyone here is innocent until proven guilty. That's the world we live in. But the fact that this girl thought that she had no other alternative than the one that she took is what's really the sad commentary here. Okay, that's the sad part. Because no matter, like I said, no matter how much life beats you down or gets you down, that is, as I told my daughter, that is not the answer. Okay? That is just another problem, because when you take that measure, that step, that's one that can't be undone and ruins a lot of other people's lives in the process. So, not to bring us all down, Mike.
No, but the reality is, even though it may seem bad, and you may think that nobody is there, always someone there.
Yeah.
Always.
They're not always the easiest to talk to. They're not always the easiest to get a hold of. They're not always the easiest, but they're still there. They're still present, and they still, like I said, I told my dad, I'm like, you know what? You can't turn your back on family no matter how much you may want to. There are certain scenarios where it is okay. All right, I'm not going to say that is an absolute. There are certain scenarios where that is acceptable.
If
this
you are
was
going
not
to,
one of them.
No, it was not, and I commend you. You handled it admirably.
So,
if you're going to turn your back on family, it's got to be during a fair weather.
Yeah.
Not when it's lives on the line kind of.
Yeah. So
turn your back on. Like, I have family that I refuse to speak to because of the way things have been handled recently relating to the passing of my grandfather.
Yeah.
And this stems prior to that, but anyway.
Yeah.
Let's move on to other death news.
All right. Of the celebrity kind. And Mike, congratulations, man.
I don't know how to react to that.
I mean, commiserations, maybe? I mean,
well, let's just come out and say that points are on the board.
Yep.
And for the first time in recorded history, a host has scored first strike points.
Yeah, I mean, and it was really weird that you did it with this. I mean, I didn't think that this was going to work, but I mean,
There's a set going strong, a lot of things going on. The man of the hour has an air of great power. The dudes have envied him for so long.
Huh?
Okay. Semi-unrelated.
Oh, it wasn't the guy who sang Superfly?
It was related in namesake only. He didn't even walk out to the ring with that.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
No.
Well, that leaves some questions.
Jimmy Superfly Snuka was a wrestler. He was one of the first superstars that I remember growing up as like being one of the good guys, one of the big names. He was one of the, like when Hulk Hogan was the top guy. Superfly was one of the top guys.
Yeah.
And ironically, just 11 days before his death, he was acquitted or was deemed unfit to stand trial for murder of his then girlfriend.
I think it was the charge was actually
manslaughter.
Yeah.
Okay. But I also said when we announced our picks the last show that he was one. If he did not pass this year, anybody who was paying attention would have picked him for next year.
Yeah.
Because because of the time frame he was given. Now nobody expected him to pass this quickly, and as always, disclaimer: we don't wish death on anyone.
No, we don't.
But when making picks for the death pool, we play our percentages.
Well, not only that, but you have to remember that the death pool, if someone does happen to pass away, it gives us a reason to, reflect on them and to bring them up. Because otherwise, when would we have ever talked about Superfly Snuka?
Yeah, you're right. That's a very good point and a very good way to look at it. That, it would have been passing. It would have shared the post on Facebook and been like, oh. But like I can remember when I think about him, I remember sitting on my couch in my basement with my grandmother and a couple of my friends watching WrestleMania on pay-per-view when pay-per-view was only $10. And my grandmother and I just watching guys like Superfly Snuka put on these matches back when everybody thought wrestling was real.
I mean, you were probably listening. I mean, what probably was coming out of your TV at the time was something like this.
First of all, if you're going to say Bay, Body, and Belt, I don't know about the first two, but you managed to rob the Black Widow of his title. And here we go back to the match. Bundy with a super clothesline here. Snuka is caught off guard. It looks like Bundy's on a tear again. And again, I can't state it.
Exactly.
That's from King Kong Bundy versus Superfly Snuka, which looks like it was done in a high school gymnasium.
That's where a lot of these, that's where the WWE, back then it was F, started. I mean, it brings back memories of good memories with my grandmother, and my grandmother got all into it because she used to love watching wrestling with us.
Yeah, I remember going to the convention center here, because they had one of the WrestleManias on closed circuit television. And so you had an auditorium full of, you had a big convention center full of people watching television, essentially. There wasn't a match going on, but they sold out tickets to watch television.
That's the same way that the NFL teams do draft parties. You go to the stadiums to watch the draft.
Yeah.
Right?
And that was the biggest thing. I had a buddy who owned the Stars and Stripes video rental store, and so his dad got 4 tickets to the WrestleMania at the convention center. So we were all excited because we were going to see WrestleMania. So his dad and the 3 of us went and we sat and watched TV. But that's what you had, because you're right. You didn't have pay-per-view back then. You didn't have HBO. Well, you had HBO, but it didn't carry this stuff. That was how they made their money. This was pay-per-view before it existed.
Yeah, and back when you had to call and actually had to call in order to pay-per-view.
Yeah. So, and wrestling was real for a time in the 80s and 90s. You know, it was they didn't make it sound like a soap opera. Okay, it's you believed it. Maybe it's because you were younger, maybe it's just because of the character development was better back then, but I mean you wanted to believe that these guys were bigger than life and you know could do all these amazing things and that they had these arguments outside the ring that you know Okerman was filming and in the middle of, and you thought, hey, that little tiny announcer guy's gonna get beat up, you know. But yeah.
So I reluctantly have taken the lead,
Yes.
and he was a solo pick. So not only do I get the additional bonus point for him being solo, but I get the 5 first strike bonus points.
Yep.
Which could have possibly turned the tide last year. But let's talk about
last year, Mike.
The 2016, because we talked about it briefly last show.
Yep. We do have our winner.
But Bill is we have declared Bill is officially the winner.
Now, what was interesting is it's Bill B. Okay, and
AKA producer Bill, right?
Well, I believe so. I believe that's right.
That's why I thought you knew him.
Well, see, and that's the thing, is, yes, you know, I just know Bill is Bill. You know, I'm not familiar. Producer Bill, it's, you know, it's last names are not always great. You know,
is this not the Bill that you knew that you went to a zombie walk with?
I believe so.
Okay,
but I will have to double check.
Okay. You will have to double check, because obviously if that's the case, I need to assemble my items for the randomness and send to you.
Send to me, yes. Regardless.
To then include and pass on.
Yes. So, you know, it's, but yeah, I mean, and I've got tons of stuff here. We're still waiting for Colin's contribution, and that will be added to the box, which I actually outgrew the first box that I was filling up with stuff.
Oh, I am shamed.
So, you know.
What I'm not including all that much.
Okay, well that's fine.
However,
because there has been a lot included already.
I do have some. I won't say high value items, but higher value than has been included in the past.
Well, I will tell you that, you know, we did announce that the electric, you know, fly swatter racket will be included, and so I have to get a box big enough to fit that.
I have thumb drives that I am including that are still in the box. I have a couple of other things, but I'm sending out a video card that has never been installed.
All right,
I'm putting that in there.
Yeah, so there, and for those that don't know, the box O randomness is the grand prize for winning the death pool.
This is the PTR equivalent of a Moofy bag o' carrots.
You know,
big old carrot. If you don't know what we're talking about, then we got a problem.
Yeah.
Now, I don't feel bad about reducing the amount of awesomeness I'm putting in this box after the conversation that transpired, because we talked last show about how the website needed to be updated because, you know, replacement picks hadn't been put in and what have you. So I get an email saying, "Hey, did you get my replacement pick?" Yeah, and if you had listened to the last show or podcast, you would know that the website's behind, that we got all the picks, and by the way, you won.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got to work out the logistics behind the box of randomness. Okay, I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Well, he's going to find out what it is because he's going to get one. You know? And I think he'll be surprised. So, it will, as always, though, what follows the box of randomness is an expectation that you would unbox, take pictures of you with all your glorious prizes. Not only share them with your friends and say, hey, listen, look at what I got. Isn't this great? But also that you would send those to us so that we then can say, hey, look, world, look at what we did for this listener. Look at how much good we're doing in the world. We made his life better, and we cleaned up our office at the same time.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And I will tell you that the 2017 box is already being started. It has already begun.
Yes, I have to start the 2017.
So
I got to get the 2016 box. There will be some useful things in this one. I promise you.
Oh, always.
There are some things that kind of neat, but no, there will be some useful things.
Yeah. No, we always, what we tell you is the value of the box exceeds the price to ship it to you. Usually by great lengths. Previous boxes have included Gunner's optic gaming glasses.
Yes.
They have instructional videos. They have included books. They have included software that you could use to run an office in 1992.
They've included video games that you could install on your computer for a 3-year-old.
Yeah, lots of different things. A wizard's beard was included in the very first box of crap. So, this is truly random. That's what we do.
I believe we are going to have at least one item from one of our sponsors.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I do have an idea I need to talk to you about related to that.
All right, not a problem. But that's enough about the box. I think we will talk one more thing related to this. Now, Mike, I'm going to give you a choice. We can either talk Galaxy 8 or Selena Scene.
Galaxy 8.
All right.
Because I have no idea what Selena Scene is.
Celine Dion a Scene. I will send it to you afterwards. We'll post it on our Facebook page. I think people will really have fun with it. Give you an idea. People take classic clips from movies and overlay Celine Dion songs on it. My Heart Will Go On. And boom, instant change to the movie scene.
Evidently, my wife and I were in a drugstore the other day, and that song came over the PA, and I desperately went looking for her, trying to find her before the classic
crescendo
verse. Yes, because I was literally going to just make a scene, and when I told her this, she said, "I am damn so glad I was in the restroom."
Yeah. So, Galaxy 8 S8 or Galaxy 8. For those who aren't familiar, I am still using the S4. This is an old phone. For those of you in the Apple world, this would be same as probably running a Gen 1 iPhone. For you guys, it's what, 4+ years old at this point, maybe? Because I don't think they actually came out with one every year on the Galaxy line.
I would say, let's see, maybe 3 or 4 years old. Because I had the S4 before I got the Note 4.
According to Google, it was released April 27th, 2013. Now, that doesn't mean that's when I got it, but that's, when it was released.
Okay, so it's coming up on 4 years.
Coming up on 4 years. All right. But in terms of smartphones, this is an old phone. All right. Most people want to upgrade every year, every 2 years at the most. This is at least 2 cycles old. So I have been looking. I am not an iPhone person. The rest of the family is iPhone people. I'm not an iPhone person. I don't want one. Don't try to convince me. You're not going to convert me. I just don't want one. All right? I want Android. And that's just because of the things I do with my phone. Now, the things I really like about the S4 is it's got the micro SD card slot. It's got a replaceable battery. And from what I understand, all those things are going away in every single phone, no matter what your choices are.
Battery, yes. SD card, no. Samsung actually brought that back
Now,
in the S7.
right, but I think they took it back away in the S8, from what I read, if I
Then,
read the rumors.
then I may have to lift the LG ban in this house because we don't play that.
Now, there have been a lot of rumors about the Galaxy S8. One of them is that it will be all glass. There is no home button. That seems to be confirmed by just about everybody that they're going away from having the home button. The other rumor, there's a rumor that it's going to go USB-C for the adapter. No surprise there. A lot of places are going to that. Somebody else also said that they were going to follow Apple and they were going to get rid of the headphone jack. And that was a pretty strong rumor for about 4 months. However, the most recent rumor is, hey, according to mock-ups that they gave to case designers, the headphone jack is there. So they kept it. And they still made their phone smaller. So take that, Apple. They did make it into, so it's going to come in 2 sizes. It's going to come in a 5.1 and a 5.8 inch screen, according to the most recent rumors.
So like 8 and 8 plus.
Yeah, pretty much. Not quite the Note size. It's going to have, like I said, the home button's going to be inside the glass. It's going to have a fingerprint scanner there. So it should be fairly fast. They say it's actually going to be faster than the physical home button for fingerprint scanning because it's some new way they're doing it with the glass. I don't know. It's going to have a great new camera, as they always tend to go up in camera. They're actually talking about having 2 cameras. So just like the Pixel has 2 cameras on it, one for near field and one for far field, the last rumor that I heard was that there might be 2 cameras on this one too. But the big thing is that the latest rumor says that there will be a few S8s released late February, and the rest of them will be either mid-March or mid-April. So you're looking at end of Q3, beginning of Q1, which isn't that long for me to wait to get one. Now, they also said that they're going to come with at least a quad processor. The international versions will have an octo-core, like they always do, which is ridiculous when you think about it. There's also a rumor that it might come, because most of the Samsung phones all come with 2 megs of RAM. There is a rumor that they're going to go to 3 megs of RAM. And if so, that'll make it one of the fastest.
3 gigs.
3 gigs, sorry. 3 gigs of RAM. It'll make it one of the fastest, biggest phones in the U.S. if they come to U.S. with 3 gigs of RAM. Because nobody else is doing that right now. That you can subsidize through a carrier. Okay? So there's a lot of other things out there, but that is what I'm reading so far, and I am really excited about that. On a somewhat related note, to help fix the problem that Samsung recently had, researchers have designed a new cell phone battery, which includes built-in fire retardant.
Okay.
Now, it's not going to be shipped with the Samsung phones, but it is being looked at for newer smartphones, for not necessarily the next gen, but the one after that. The concept is that the plastic layer in between the positive and negative plates, sandwiched in that plastic layer is a industrial flame retardant foam. So as soon as the battery is punctured, and the battery starts to exceed 150 degrees, that plastic melts away, the flame retardant substance comes out, and will put the battery fire out within 0.4 seconds.
Okay. First time one of those batteries misfires. Or fires off because your kid has been playing Angry Birds for
too long,
or Fruit Ninja, or Candy Crush, or whatever the hell they're playing these days. I'm still playing Plants vs Zombies, so I don't want to hear shit. First time it goes off, then people are going to start complaining.
Yeah, you can't make them happy no matter what you do. Period. End of story. You know, hey, batteries are catching on fire. Fine, we'll fix that. Hey,
here's
your
an idea.
Fire safety batteries aren't working right.
Instead of fire retardant foam in the battery, Demolition Man with the crash.
Just in case
Instead of
foam.
Why not just have like almost like a fuse?
A fuse.
You know, a capacitor or a thermal sensor built into the phone. So if it hits the X degrees, your phone goes into emergency mode only, or like ultra power saving, so you can make calls, but that's it.
Well,
until the battery cools down.
The problem has never been usage of the phone; it's been charging and or puncture of the battery.
That fine. Okay, so puncture the battery.
That's been the biggest problem. But by the way, though, I'm intrigued by this fuse idea of yours. So you're saying, you want all phones to have a fuse on them so that it's more difficult to get through security check-ins at airports? Because now I have this electronic device with a fuse.
Not that kind of fuse, you schmuck.
Well, I'm just thinking. I'm just reflecting what you said.
Same kind of fuse that keeps your headlights working in the car.
Okay.
That kind of fuse.
All right. I thought you meant like detonator.
You can't be. All right. While we're talking about foolish stuff,
yes.
Let's move on to this.
That's right.
Black Books thing.
It is time to move along to our PTR.
And yes, I'm watching the Facebook page because I'm sure we're going to get some comments about this based on who's listening.
It's time
when
to
Colin
move on to
announced
PTR
that
Radio, a double feature movie review this week. Not movies, TV shows.
So, Colin tasked us with watching 3 episodes of a British TV series called Black Books.
Yeah.
While he was away. And it's on Netflix.
Yes. It is a British show featured around 3 primary characters. And, it is, to me, very much like the IT Crowd. Which, Mike, I don't know if you ever watched that show or not. But
no.
I think you might like the IT Crowd more than I feel, given your body posture so far, that you liked Black Books. And let me start off by saying, if you're not a fan of British humor, you will not be a fan of this show.
Oh, no, you will not.
It's not going to win you over.
You absolutely will not.
All right.
So, just to give you a little background, when I was in college the first time, I had an English class, like that was supposed to talk about communicating skills. And the teacher tried to illustrate some of her points using the show Faulty Towers.
Ah, yes. I watched that
British
in World Humanities.
So maybe this is where my disdain for British comedies comes from.
It could be. Now, let me ask you this.
Do
you like
that
Monty Python?
Somewhat. Benny Hill, I can deal with.
Okay.
I get that humor. Monty Python, somewhat.
Yeah.
It's touch and go with Monty Python. Some things I get, some things I don't. Ironically, even shows from America or in the U.S. that are based off of British shows, like, I don't know, The Office. Wasn't a a big fan of The Office.
What about like whose line is it anyway?
That doesn't count
Okay,
because the format,
because it's literally a stand-up show.
yes. Brian writing in, Faulty Towers was my gateway for Britcoms. God bless you.
Yeah.
This show, 3 episodes was about all I could take. Or I wanted to just punch somebody.
Now, for
it could just be
those that are unfamiliar, like I said, it stars 3 main characters: Dylan Moran, who plays Bernard Black, the owner of the shop; Bill Bailey, who plays Manny; and then Tamsin Grieg, who plays Fran, the neighbor, basically. She's the stock female in the cast. All right, and Bernard Black runs his own shop, even though he doesn't much like people who buy books and hates having customers. Next door to Bernard's shop is the Nifty Gifty gift store ran by Fran, probably Bernard's only friend in the world. When Bernard's accountant goes on the run, Bernard employs stress victim Manny to help his shop. This leads to a series of surreal adventures around the shop. So that guy gives you the summary, basically, of the first episode, where we learn about Manny and how he came to be at the shop. He came in first looking for the little book of calm, and Mike is just seething, and that's how he got introduced to Bernard. Or Bernard.
Bernard. Being corrected by Gail.
Yeah.
Pronounced Bernard.
So, but
I get it. You're British. You like wine. Bookstore.
Oh man, watching this one was like watching Absolutely Fabulous. Which, Mike, you won't know what that is.
Oh no, I know what that is, and I still can't believe that I hear people talking about making a movie about this thing.
Oh no, not making a movie. Absolutely Fabulous had a movie made.
Let's be real clear about this, okay? I wasn't a fan of the show Friends, but until after Friends was off the air. But I can honestly tell you that the episodes of Friends that took place in Britain or England, whatever, over there when Ross got married to Emily, but said Rachel, I can honestly say that those episodes are the ones that I hated the most. Maybe it just has something to do with the country. I don't know.
Maybe you just hate England? Is that what you're saying?
Perhaps. I should take an ancestry DNA test to see where my roots are from and see, do I have genetic disposition to hate Britain?
Are you German, is what you're asking?
Perhaps. Maybe I have some German in me.
Well, good news for you, the Queen is German. So, you should have, so that you have in common there. But anyway, I think
you
hated this show.
No, but I think you painted the picture correct. That if you like Britcoms, as Brian calls them, if you like Britcoms, then you will probably like this show.
Yeah, I kept watching.
Even as a kid, I remember MTV had a show called The Young Ones.
Oh yes, it's a very famous Brit comedy.
Okay, I couldn't stand that either. I didn't get the humor behind that.
If I remember,
except for the one guy who was like drunk and on fire half the time. And you didn't understand what the hell he was saying. He had a big old mohawk. I thought he was funny just because he was an idiot, not because he was British or the show was funny.
Yeah,
the guy was. To quote Zach Galifianakis, the guy was half a retard. Okay, and that's why he was funny. It had nothing to do with anything else.
That would be Adrian Edmondson, that show, by the way, ran from 1982 to 84. And that guy now looks nothing like he used to.
Why am I not surprised?
But yeah.
So what did you think about this?
Well, to give you an idea, I've watched all the way up to episode 1 of season 3. All right.
Season 3?
Season 3, yeah.
How many seasons of this crap is there?
I think there's 3 or 4. I'm not sure. But yeah. So that's how many I've watched. There's 3 seasons. I see it right here. It ran from 2000 to 2004. And you have to remember that in Britain, seasons are fairly short. So, they don't have nearly as many episodes per season as what we do in America, or what we used to in America. Now it's getting kind of common. But, again, I was a big fan of the IT Crowd, and so I was very used to this style of comedy. In fact, for a while, I questioned whether Dylan Moran was really, the same actor from the IT Crowd, just because his mannerisms, his joke timing, and everything else was so spot on for what the other one was, Chris O'Dowd from the IT Crowd, and they look a little similar, but especially in the first series there. But it was, the show was okay. Now, I will say there were a lot of parts where it dragged on for a long time, and that's typical of British comedies. All right, so if you're not used to, one, the dry humor, and two, how long sometimes the stare is on some of them, I'll say, then you're going to be put off by this. It's not a quick moving comedy necessarily. There's a lot of little one-liners or quick jabs, and then they're on to something else. But sometimes they're drawn out quite lengthy. And some of the aspects which are funnier don't translate well at all to the United States. So for example, the first episode where Manny has absorbed the little book of calm, and now he is going down the street lecturing dogs and passerbys and skinheads and everything else. To an American, that scene seems like about 10 minutes too long. All right. Even though it's about a 3-minute scene. But in England, that's expectation over there. All right. That is what they're used to. That's a lot of what goes on over there. So as somebody who watches British comedies, I wasn't put off by any of that. I thought it was a decent enough show. Like I said, I've watched up to the beginning of season 3. It wasn't my favorite British comedy show, but I think it did have some.
Well, that we can agree on.
Yeah,
wasn't my favorite either.
But I would be curious to see, though, since you've never seen the IT Crowd, if you would like the IT Crowd, because it has more of a, thus the name, it has more of a geek spin on it. Than
I think that's popped up. I think on my Netflix queue a couple of times.
And you might like that.
I'd be willing to give that a shot. I will be willing. I'll tell you what. I will, if that's still on Netflix or Amazon or one of the things I get, I will give that a shot.
Okay, I will.
I will try that for.
Yeah. So.
Gail, why are you saying I should absorb? Maybe Mike could absorb the little book of calm.
Oh,
and it's funny because I'm sitting here just before I read that comment. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, Colin's family must just hate me, or I am like the stereotypical uncouth Jersey Shore type dude at this point.
I wouldn't worry about it. No, like I said, it is one of those things. Now, the other one that we both watched, and we've watched the complete series, is a Netflix original. Well, it's not really a Netflix original series, as we found out, but Netflix did help bankroll it. Is called Travelers.
Yes.
Now, Mike, you and I had a little bit of an email exchange on this because I think you pointed out you said this seems like a Canadian show because it has everyone from Continuum in it again.
Yes.
And
I'm seeing a lot of the same faces from Continuum and what was another show? There were a couple from Between.
probably.
It was a Netflix show that's also Canadian.
And I thought, I kind of thought the same thing. I'm like, wow, this has a really familiar, cast, familiar run to it. I mean, this was the interaction between the characters seemed very organic. It seemed like they had worked together before, to me.
Several times, it seems.
And so then I went looking. I'm like, oh wow, it is a Canadian show. This was originally done for Canadian television, with the idea purposefully that it would then immediately be shown on Netflix as soon as the television run was done. So this is one of those very small little mini-series-ish productions that then Netflix said, hey, listen, we'll throw some money in there as long as we can have first and exclusive rights after the initial run is done so that we can binge the whole, so that people on our servers can binge the whole series.
Yeah.
And then if people really like it, then we'll talk about season 2. So
I did not look. Is there a season 2 coming?
Since it's only been out on Netflix for about a month, I don't think there's any buzz about that yet.
Katie's writing it Slacker. We watched all 12. Do you mean all 12 what?
Of the Travelers? Yeah, so did we.
Yeah, no. I don't know how much of a lag there is.
Yeah.
Right now. But if you're talking about Travelers, yeah, both Shaggy and I watched all 12. We had the email discussion.
Yeah.
After the first couple of episodes, because all the characters started popping up, and then later on, another one from Continuum pops up, and what?
So
what is it with Canadians in time travel? Continuum, Travelers,
Arc was a Canadian show. Pick a Stargate franchise that was all filmed up in BC. But what's really nice is they all have elements that we like, though. I mean, they do seem to know what they're doing up there as far as hitting our demographics and things that we're interested in. Traveler Season 2 has not been officially announced. Given Netflix's recent investment in the show, one can only assume that it'll get another go-ahead, but it'll ultimately lie in the shoulders of the Canadian broadcaster. It's not going to get a renewal this was before the new year, but there was a whole lot of questions left at the end of Season 1, obviously, as we all know. And they're from
a whole lot of questions
from the comments coming in on this board. People are saying the sooner the show's back on, the better. Can't wait till Season 2. What a great show. Something subtly different about it that he can't put his finger on. Well, guess what? It's Canada. That's what you can't put your finger on.
Not for nothing, but the way that the first season ended, this was a worse cliffhanger than, I don't know, the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yeah, I mean
that one, the show got canceled, and you're left like,
yeah,
what happened?
Yeah, I mean,
and nobody talks about it. So, like, even the writers won't even tell you this is what we would have done. Nobody knows.
Yeah, to give you guys, for those of you that haven't heard about this, hundreds of years from now, surviving humans discover how to send consciousness back through time into people of the 21st century while attempting to save humanity from a terrible future. So that is the generic plot of the show, is that you end up with these new consciousnesses put in these bodies that are taken, as you learn in the first episode, moments before their original death. And then they have to try and figure out a way to make the future better by changing current events. Sometimes subtle, sometimes not so subtle. Meanwhile, there's a list of rules that they all have to abide by, for interacting with the past. What's considered their past. So,
right. And at the same time, they assume the identity of the person.
Yeah.
whose consciousness they replaced, which presents its own unique
because
issues.
you learn that sometimes these people were selected based off of social media information of all things. I thought that was a great plot device right there. Is that, hey, we took this information off of public record and social media, so watch what you put on Facebook because it could affect how you're selected in the future to be a recipient of someone's consciousness.
Yeah.
So by using a flawed system, they they end up in the head of a developmentally challenged woman and a heroin addict. As an example of just two people, as well as an abused wife or abused girlfriend and mother. All these things come together to mean that there has to be a dynamic within this team, that comes back, and then you learn that there's other teams out there and all these other things. I mean, it's a good thing that I don't want to ruin too many, cliffhangers or do too many plot spoilers on, because I think it's something that if you're interested in this show, you'd be interested in watching.
Yeah, this show, I'm not like, oh, I can't wait for the season. I look forward to the next season. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to lose my mind about it. I thought it was well written. I thought it was well shot. As far as I hate to keep comparing it to Continuum, but it was on par with cinematic quality and the storytelling, what have you, of Continuum. Which, if as a listener, if you have not seen Continuum, that's another show that you may want to just check out a couple episodes of.
Yeah, which honestly, I've never watched Continuum, so that may be something that I want to watch.
Yes, if you liked Travelers, you'll like Continuum on multiple levels, and you'll see a couple of character crossovers. But the way that a section of our audience seems to be into British TV, I'm starting to realize that I am into Canadian TV.
I know.
Because this show, Continuum, as I've mentioned, there's a show on Netflix called Between, which is also done by a Canadian broadcast company, probably the same company as Travelers. And people were cursing Netflix because they only released one episode at a time, as opposed to releasing the whole season once the TV run was done. Right, so we had that, and then what was the other? There was another Canadian-based show. Oh, Dark Matter. Yeah. Dark Matter on Sci-Fi is another Canadian-based show that has a lot of the similar people. I want to say Helix was also Canadian, but that didn't fare as well. Crossovers there.
So, for those of you that are interested, the creator, Brad Wright, of this, has also been involved in Stargate Universe Kino, which is a mini TV series, Stargate Atlantis, Stargate The Ark of Truth, Stargate SG-1, The Outer Limits, Poltergeist, Legacy, The Odyssey, Highlander, Madison, Neon Rider, Forever Night, and The Adventures of the Black Stallion. So, if you see some similarities between Stargate and Travelers, there's a reason why. Okay? He knows how to build a team dynamic, make you believe that they're all working together, and then send that team through things which makes you invested in how they are. Not just as a team, but also personally. So, I definitely was into this. It was a good flick for me to watch. And like I said, 12 episodes. They're about 45 minutes apiece. So you're talking about a long day to watch this. And what I have found, Mike, is, this has binging shows like this. One, it becomes really addictive. When you end up with a show like Travelers where you've got one season to watch, you think nothing of it. So you go, okay, I can handle this 2 days max. And then as soon as you're done, you're like, what other show can I watch all of them? You know?
I don't. Mainly, it's probably because when I binge watch, it's myself. There's no Netflix type show or anything. And even if there was, it's not like him and I would sit down and watch and binge an entire series. I have to tell you, though, that my latest binge, which I discovered today, and I'm almost done with, the reboot on Netflix. They redid One Day at a Time.
Oh.
Rita Moreno, it's a Cuban family.
I think I read something about that.
And I have to tell you,
I didn't hear that.
It's not that bad.
Well, okay. Well, that's not a ringing endorsement, but it's not.
Well, okay. It bothers me because it's a reboot. They could have called it something else.
That's like saying this polio. It's not too bad.
Steven's trying to call in.
Don't know why it wouldn't work.
Tell us to answer the phone. That was after 9 o'clock, but.
Oh, it could be it, but I don't think so.
All right.
Let me see here
Anyway.
real quick.
Okay.
Because it should be working. But maybe not.
Surprise me if it's not.
Evidently. Huh, that's no good. Not ringing through, so I don't know what the hell that is.
Right,
anyway,
well, we're not gonna try and troubleshoot it right now. Sorry, bro.
Not in the last 2 minutes of the show.
No. But I probably wouldn't feel. I would like it more if they didn't call it One Day at a Time.
No.
No. Right, and Gloria Estefan re-recorded the theme song, so it's not like you could even, divorce yourself from the fact that it's called One Day at a Time. The building maintenance guy is named Schneider. So once again, you can't divorce yourself from the fact that it's a reboot.
Yeah.
It would stand okay on its own and just put a credit in that it is based on
or inspired by.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree. I hate it when they redo shows that really don't need to be redone just for the sake of redoing them. That gets pretty annoying. You can totally do it a different way.
Now, I will say that they had a cameo, like Fuller House, it's a continuation, and they have cameos from characters from the original show.
Mm-hmm.
They had a cameo from Kenzie Phillips playing a part in one of the episodes, and made a comment about how she wasn't a fan of reboots because they're never as good as the original.
Oh, nice little inside joke.
Yes.
So
it was good. It kind of reminded me of a sort of if George Lopez and One Day at a Time had a baby, this would be the show. So take that for what it's worth.
Okay. Makes sense. So.
And the Schneider guy's Canadian. There we go. Canadian TV.
No, there you go. It's always something with those Canadians. It's not the Mexicans we got to worry about. It's the Canadians taking away our entertainment industry. All right. I think, with that said, maybe.
You said it went straight to voicemail, so.
Oh, yeah, it could. There we go.
Could be an issue on the call routing. Could be an issue.
Could be a lot of different things, but we'll try and get it working for next show. Which at this point, our next show is going to be January 30th. That's right. January 30th will be when you'll be able to tune in live and check us out again. By then, Colin will be back, and we'll have the whole cast of characters here. So we look forward to you guys tuning in and checking out what Colin did while he was in the House of the Mouse. Maybe he'll bring back some ears. You never know. So, until then, we will be publishing. We got a couple of links we're going to publish, including the Selena scene, things like that. But we're also going to be updating the death pool on our website, getting that all squared away. Just didn't have time this week to get that done.
We will. We got to get the referral points.
Yep,
we'll
get the referral points added in, and that'll be all taken care of. So all the updates will be taken care of, hopefully by next week if things calm down. So, let's see here. Hopefully by next show, well, actually, I can tell you this. By next show, I will have more information about a possible live performance.
Oh, boy.
I will have either a confirmed yes or no. I may not have a date, but I will have a confirmed yes or no from the owner about if we can do that or not. I'm so looking forward to that. So, and we'll also have Colin book our train tickets so that we can travel the country. Start this
for next year.
Yep, for next year. So, all right. Until then, I'm Shaggy.
I'm Mike the 8 Man.
Stick a fork in us, folks. We are done. We'll catch you later. Bye.